All right, what's up, Gordon? How you feeling?
Can't complain. Can't
complain. You look really happy to be here.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy I got this gift. This gift from my opponent.
It was given to you.
It was given to me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's got my dad on it. I don't know why you want to keep it.
Oh,
It's got Big Gordo all over it.
that would take Obsessed to maybe a new level,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm thinking so. I'm especially digging the outfit. It's not very Austonian, but it's
Texas.
It's Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. We are in Cali, Texas, but you
Yeah.
brought the Texas to Cali, Texas.
But the best quote I've heard about Austin is the best thing about Austin is how close it is to Texas. And that's about right.
Okay, that's fitting. Perfect. So I'm curious on your thoughts on the fight. I mean, I know everyone has obviously a huge favorite going into the fight, and actually he was telling us to put some votes in or some bets in last minute, holiday time, make some quick cash. How are you feeling about that? What do you think the viewers should be betting on here?
I mean, ultimately what I want is just to give the fans a show, and I want people to watch it and then get better at jiu-jitsu from watching it. I'm excited to showcase things that I've been working on and positions you haven't really seen me in high-level competition. So the chances of him submitting me are actually way higher than people think, because I'm going to be putting myself in all these bad spots, both positionally and with submissions, fully locked arm bars, fully locked triangles. So we're going to see how it goes. It's going to be a lot rougher than I have to make it, I think, but it'll be exciting for sure.
Yeah, that was my question. So, I mean, we typically don't see you in submissions, being mounted, getting your back taken, or anywhere close to tapping in most of your fights in the recent years. So, I'm curious, like, obviously that's something you train for. You talk about that pretty often. Like, a lot of people don't know how to escape submissions because they don't get put in them in competition. What do you think separates you from other competitors to the point where you can allow that to happen and feel confident that you're not going to get tapped out?
Number one is the fact that most breaking mechanics, finishing mechanics are pretty terrible for most people. And number two, I spend a lot of time in those bad spots, in both in bad positions and tight, fully locked submissions against the most dangerous guys in the world with the best mechanics. So if I can escape those submissions from the guys in the room, I can easily escape most people's submissions.
Makes sense. Are you looking for quality or quantity? And when I say that, are you trying to get things really close to tapping and then escaping, or are you trying to get as many as you can escapes?
I think I don't really have an answer to that. I think dynamic movement is probably what fans want to see the most. I think it'll be a fast-paced match that'll make it exciting. And I do think that we'll go anywhere from early escapes to all the way late escapes. I don't think I'll let myself get put in a fully locked rear naked, because I probably will get submitted. But
might win some brain cells.
Joint locks for sure, strangles for sure. It'll be interesting. I think I don't really have a goal in mind. I think just showcasing what I've been working on as far as what I've been doing offensively the last 6 months or so, and what I've been doing defensively the last 2 or 3 years, because no one's really put me in a bad spot for. I think the last person had me in a bad spot was Craig at EBI in like 2018. So it's been 3 years now. So it'll be fun to showcase some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool for fans to see something that we don't normally get to see, right? So now, next question, I'm going to answer something that people might be wondering. Why is it that you agreed to a fight, and maybe you already said the answer, but why is it that you agreed to fight with someone lighter and less accomplished than you? Is there something there? Are you lacking offers, or what's going on there?
Well, right now, my stomach's messed up, so I announced that I wasn't going to be competing against the highest level guys until I have my stomach issue fixed. And thankfully, I actually know what the problem is now, so I'm working on the treatments and getting that back in order. Before I actually announced my, not retirement, but my leave of absence, it was like impossible to find anyone my own weight. The only guy who actually agreed to compete against me under ADCC rules was Cyborg, but under Who's Number One submission only rules, there was exactly 0 heavyweights who actually agreed to compete against. Even guys like that are heavyweights but like lighter, like 200 pounds, 210. Anyone near my weight just absolutely refused to compete against me. So I don't know what you guys want. Like, I competed against Roberto and Wagner, like they were number 2 and number 1 in their weight class, and Wagner wasn't that much smaller than me when we actually fought, but people don't want to talk about that. Yeah, so right now I'm just kind of like in this intermediary step between wanting to compete but not being healthy enough to fight the best guys in the world. And I think I can still beat the best guys in the world, but I think it's unprofessional for me to show up less than what I'm capable of. So this is just a way to stay active, to be under the lights in front of the crowd, and to to show the fans what I've been working on. I feel like it's a disservice for me to just release instructionals and not have clear-cut footage of me doing it in competition. I like to be able to release an instructional and say, hey, this is where I hit it in competition against one of the best guys. Now you can argue that, you know, my opponent's not a world-class jiu-jitsu guy. He fights MMA, he fights in the UFC. But
world-class athlete.
Yeah, he's a world-class athlete, and he's a showman. So I'm excited to go out and give the fans a show and educate them and show them what I've been working on.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit on your update of training as far as like making this big move, opening a new school? Has that really affected your training at all, or how have you been feeling? Do you feel just as prepared as normal?
No, I never really stopped training jiu-jitsu. I had some issues with weightlifting. I'm basically just like a big fat guy right now. I weighed in at like 275, but I had this on in the whole uniform. I'm like 240 right now. I'm not actually 275. But my gym, when I was moving, my home gym in Puerto Rico was filled with boxes for like a month. And Puerto Rico went like full New York, where you can't get into anywhere without a vaccine card. So I like couldn't work out for like a full month. And then I moved here, and I'm driving John from session to session. So this is probably the longest I haven't actually lifted weights since I started training, or since I started lifting. So I'm just like 2 months without lifting. I'm like a big fat hairy guy right now, which is like perfect for Texas, I guess.
Cowboy style, yeah.
But as far as jiu-jitsu, I'm always training. We do 3 sessions a day right now. We do a 10 a.m. at RGA Austin, where we teach and then train, and then we do a 1 p.m. competition session just for the pros at Roca, and then a 6:30 class again at RGA Austin. That's Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday we do a 10 a.m. at RGA, and then a 1 o'clock at Roca. So 2 to 3 sessions a day every day.
Nice. So staying consistent. So it hasn't really gotten in the way of your training. So other than the
not
lifting,
jiu-jitsu, just lifting. But my container just arrived yesterday, so once I get all the shit out of my garage, I'll be able to start lifting again.
Perfect. Okay. So really important question. I know people are really excited about this one. How do you feel about Tim Spriggs calling you out? What are your thoughts? I know you did some post-show stuff, and you were able to talk a little bit about what happened at the actual fight with him and Kynan. But how are you feeling about him calling you out in particular?
Everybody wants to call me out. Tim Spriggs is an exception, because I actually think that Tim Spriggs will call me out on the internet and actually compete, because he has nothing to lose. But I mean, people don't understand, like the number 10 guy to the number 2 guy, they're all like right in the same range, where if on any given day any one of their holes is exposed, they'll lose a match. So like the number 10 guys here, 9, 8, 7, and then 4, 3, 2. And if the number 2 guys here, people don't realize that I'm like way up here. It's like there's no comparison between like the number 10 to the number 2 guy and then me at number 1. So Tim is the number 2 guy now, I guess. But if we compete, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a rough day for Tim.
So does that mean you think between number 2 and number 10, it's not really a difference for you based on who you fight, like between number 2 and number 10?
No, they're all relatively the same. They just pose different problems. The problem is that all the world level athletes have such big holes in their games that if on any given day one of those holes just happens to get exploited, like Kynan getting his legs entered into, they're going to lose a match. If they end up in a bad spot, like Tante Leon, for example, taking Lucas Lepri's back in ADCC. Or JT taking Lucas's back in ADCC. Whenever you see their holes getting exploited and you get them put into a bad spot, they pretty much all the time lose, because they're just not used to being in those positions. What I find with the world level athletes is that they're pretty good at their A game and they're good at what they do, but it's not a layered approach. So once you get past their A game, there's no B, C, or D game. It's just the A game and then just nothing after that. So for me, it's pretty easy to exploit the holes in their game, and once you exploit the holes, then they're just useless.
So before Kynan fought Tim, you actually had mentioned, like, I think if, Kynan might get leg locked type of thing, because that's where his holes are. So what do you see the holes are for Tim? What would you be exploiting right away?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, Tim is pretty bad everywhere. I think his strongest aspect of his game is a standing position. He's like kind of like a gritty wrestler, scrambler kind of guy. He developed a decent guillotine recently, so those are probably the 2 best elements of his game. But he has no ability to pass. He has no ability to finish other than a guillotine. and he has no ability. He has zero bottom game of any kind, and terrible leg locks. He almost got heel hooked in his first match, and just ended up recountering and getting a heel hook himself. But if you put Tim on bottom, like I did in ADCC, he's useless. He'll always try to stand up and create back exposure. So that's what, as it happened in the ADCC, he's either going to get crushed on bottom position and won't be able to get up, and then he'll get submitted. But that's what happened with him and Buchecha. I don't know if Buchecha actually finished him, but I know he kept him on bottom and passed him, and Tim was just like helpless from bottom. Or he'll try to stand up back to his feet and create back exposure like he did with me. So his biggest hole is the fact that he's solely a top player. He can't play bottom position. There's just not anything that makes him dangerous besides his guillotine. He's a guy I look at if I fight him and just there's nothing to be afraid about. It's just, okay, he's going to play a stall, cagey game, he's going to be athletic, he's going to be scrambly, but that's pretty much all he has to offer.
So obviously we have a lot of media on you. You've done a lot of interviews with Flo, and there's a lot of match footage out there. So in this match, you're looking to create a lot of big scenarios that we don't normally see, as far as being stuck in submissions, being stuck in bad positions. As far as, interviews go, what's something that you feel like you want fans to know that they may not get to see on social media, or people, I know sometimes people are surprised by meeting you in real life based on your social media persona. Like, what do you find that you feel like, man, I just wish people knew this about me, or I feel like I'm never asked this?
To be honest, no matter what I actually say, people are just going to call me an asshole, because there's tons of Reddit threads like, man, Gordon, I met him in person, he's really not an asshole, he was like the nicest guy ever. And people are like, yeah, but if he's an asshole online, I don't care what he's like in person. So I'm not even going to bother explaining it. The people who know me, the people who are friends with me, know how I actually operate. With me, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. If you attack me, then I'll attack you. If you're nice to me, then I'm nice to you.
Sounds good. Any final thoughts on tomorrow?
No, I'm really excited. Every Who's Number One is slightly better than the previous one. I think the guys at Flo really sit down and they analyze, what was great and what could be better for the next show. So from the first show that I ever did, I think I did the inaugural one. It's just miles ahead of where they were. So I'm excited for another great show. I'm excited to put on a show for the fans, and excited to get back out into those competition mats and under those competition lights.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as being a fan yourself of Jiu-Jitsu, what are you excited to see tomorrow? Is there anything you're really looking forward to, or that you're excited about for the show? Yeah,
I'm really excited to see, obviously, my teammates. Damian Anderson is competing against the Giant Slayer, so that'll be interesting. Taz is competing against Levi. Levi's very, very good in the gi, talented no-gi as well, but you don't really get to see too much of him no-gi, so I'll be very interested to see him competing no-gi. And then you have, of course, the world-class women up at the top of the food chain, top of the event there. I'm very excited for those matches, as well as Mikey. I mean, watching Mikey is always a pleasure. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back, because people don't realize mentally how hard it is to come back after like a loss like he just had. So it'll be really interesting to see how he comes out and performs physically after mentally dealing with a loss that was pretty recent.
Awesome. Well, I know people appreciate hearing your thoughts on the other matches, and as well as looking forward to yours. So really appreciate your time, and can't wait to watch you tomorrow. Let's do it.